What's up, guys? We're here with Jacob. He got back-to-back first play with Swordsoul Superheavy Samurai cards. Yeah, any shout out when you give?
Not really. Just shout out to Halifax locals. Shout out to the boys, and shout out Arsenal winning the league.
Yeah, boys.
Dang.
All right. Before we dive into the fight, don't forget to comment, subscribe, and let's dive in.
Okay. So, yeah. First of all, we play a bunch of Swordsoul cards. These are fairly standard. I don't think anyone plays anything else in Swordsoul decks. 3 Moye, 2 Tae, 3 Ecclesia, 3 Long One, 3 Emergence, 1 Blackout. Yeah, this is fairly standard. I don't think you can play anything else. You want to just max out on your normal summons. And the other cards are just good to play. Yeah, outside of the Swordsoul stuff, we also play a Tenyi engine. So I play 3 Ashina, 1 Adhara, 1 of this one that isn't very good, and 1 Bushuda.
Why one of this?
Yeah, so this is a bit abnormal. People often play 3 of this or 2 of it. This card's pretty standard, and they play multiples of this. The reason I play less is because I need to make room for the Superheavy Samurai engine. And essentially these cards are not actually very good in a lot of situations, especially going first. So this card going first is more or less a brick, it's just a worm. This card is also more or less a brick, it's just a worm. This card is just bad, but you need a level 4. But you do need to play them because they're a really useful toolbox. So essentially going second, you have like 4 copies of Bushuda, which helps break boards. This card gives you a bit of follow-up by adding back a Banished Worm, and this card still sucks, but it's a level 4.
Damn, so your deck sucks.
Something like that. Something like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Spicy shit?
Yes, for the spicy stuff. So we played some Superheavy Samurai cards in our deck today. Yeah, so essentially we played 3 Wakaushi, 3 Bike, 6 Wakaushis, the 1 Brick. That sucks, but if you just don't draw it, all good.
How many times you saw this today, though?
Not a lot.
Oh, word.
Not a lot. Probably why I won so many matches, but
yeah, first play for a reason.
Yes, and then the 1 Soul Horns. So essentially you play this card because unlike other Superheavy Samurai decks or engines, we use this exclusively to make Denglong.
Denglong Turbo.
Denglong Turbo, that card is really broken if you summon it. Imagine a card having 3 effects. That's not very balanced. Yeah, and then outside of those cards, I include these as part of the Superheavy Samurai cards because they're not really doing anything else. These are the 2 cards that you use to interact with Denglong. You need to play these 2, and you need to play exactly these 2 for various combos and whatnot, specifically for their levels and the fact that one's a tuner and one is a non-tuner.
How did we lose to this pile brick?
Well, there's like 1, 2 bricks, but I mean you have to play them, and then these are kind of like semi-bricks.
This is for a Denglong target, I assume?
Yeah, they're the Denglong targets, but at the very least they're worms.
Okay.
So they still they're still usable in hands.
Alright, word.
And then outside of that, we play a bunch of hand traps. I play 3 Mourners, 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 2 Nib, and 2 Droll.
Okay.
These are subject to change. Essentially, you have this many slots to play. You can play 13 hand traps, essentially. And these are really just dependent on what your locals has. So if you see a lot of like Rescue Ace and or whatnot, you know, these cards are good. If you're seeing more combo heavy stuff, maybe play a few more of these, cut down on some other things. But I really like these 9 hand traps. I think they're solid. They kind of hit just about everything. There are very few decks in which these cards do nothing. And so when you draw them in multiples, you can beat people. And then you still have 4 copies of like hand traps that just cook people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the main deck. It is 44 cards.
Oh no.
I know that's gonna trigger some people, but
hey, he got first place. Nothing there to say, yeah?
Yeah. And yeah, the extra deck. Play 2 Monk, 1 Shaman. Would play the 3rd one, but I can't, have no room. It does come up sometimes, but it's fairly rare. Two is enough. Then we played 2 Boxia, 1 Chisha.
Oh shit,
This
one.
card is really good, insanely broken. You need 2. I summon 2 very often. This card's better than this card.
Yeah.
Fact. The other 8s I play are just one of these ones. This card comes up. It's fairly solid. Generic 8. It's a worm. Good card. For the non-8s, we have the 1 Danglong. We summon this card every game. Not every game, but fairly often. Yazi. It comes up often going second. It's just a really good card. It can get you into your engine.
Yeah.
We play the Chaofeng.
Yeah.
Solid card, comes up. You need it for a combo where you don't open Wakaushi, but you can destroy this card and search it. The 2 10s. I don't play the third 10 because I don't have space in the extra deck, unfortunately. It's a solid card. It comes up sometimes, but often 2 10s is enough.
Alright, spicy shit.
Yes, and then lastly, the reason I don't have space for the third monk or for other things is because I play the Calamities. This shit is lit. Can't convince me otherwise. Yeah, this is just not fair. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game of doing unfair things.
Yeah,
and
true.
So,
Facts.
you know, summon this a lot. Couldn't, people couldn't respond. They passed their turn. I won. Yeah, that is the extra deck.
Word. Alright. Hey, side deck, let's go.
And yes, the side deck. Again, same thing with the hand traps. This is kind of malleable. You can change it depending on what your locals has and or what you're afraid of. But played 3 Book of Eclipse. So
Word.
played 3 evenly matched. 2 Kaijus. 3 back row cards. The 1 Nib because I had 1 spot and card can blow at some decks. And then the 3 Go First cards, Solemn Judgment. This isn't perfect, this isn't necessarily exactly what I'd play. I'd probably put some crossouts in here and like a D barrier if I had them. But yeah, kind of most of the idea with the side deck is essentially you want fairly generic blowout cards. Generic in the sense that they're impactful against a lot of decks.
Yeah.
Because essentially when you go second, you take out the entire Super Heavy Samurai engine and you put in 12 side deck cards. So you want to have side deck cards that are applicable against most things. So you almost always just put in these 9, these 11, and then sometimes, if some hand traps are bad, you can put in an additional nib, whatever it may be. Yeah, so that is the list.
Well, congratulations on your back-to-back first play. Hopefully we see you in the future with another pie, but not this shit.
There you go.
Alright, see you around.